Today is my birthday. I have no connection to age at this present time. How I view birthdays is a way to hold myself accountable for a commitment that I made from the previous year. And last year, I made a commitment to not have any more alcohol or cigarettes within my life. I would periodically have casual drinks when I was with friends or at concerts or when we were traveling. And I saw myself from a different perspective, and I didn't like myself. When I was drinking, I had spent enough time abusing substances in my life that even casually, it still felt foreign to me. It felt like I had been done with that aspect of my life in its entirety. But it's interesting to walk away from something like that because society deems it so acceptable to have drinks as a reward, for a hard day's work or being out with the guys or going to a concert or traveling around the world. It's such an acceptable part of life that I challenged that narrative, and I really wanted to see myself outside of that and be pure, like have a clean vibrational frequency to the best of my ability, free from nicotine, drugs such as marijuana, psilocybin, which aren't in fact drugs, medicinal substances, let's say, also alcohol. I really wanted to see what and who I was like outside of that. So I made that commitment to myself last year, November 28th, and we are 9 days away today from achieving that 1 year goal, which has never been achieved in my life. And it's a big deal for me. I mean, I spent 23 years of my life induced by substances externally from me, which had me disconnected from my authentic self and unable to speak my truth or be any example of truth whatsoever, because I found it so acceptable to use these substances to hide from who I was. So to make that commitment to myself a year ago was a really big deal, and I'm proud of myself, to be honest with you. I don't say that often, and I think it's interesting. Even when I said it right now, I kind of reflected on that, like, wow, it was like, whoa, I caught myself because even myself, those huge rewards to be proud of ourselves for something is not something we do that often. And I'm a pretty disciplined guy these days. I do acknowledge myself and my growth daily. But to be proud is a big word for me because it comes with a lot of meaning. And there's been so many moments and experiences in my life that I wasn't proud of. And I think that can be relevant for many of us. You don't have to be a drug addict for that. I mean, there's many things that we do in this life and things that we say and experiences that we have that we are not happy with the outcome of what happened. So we avoid going back and processing that experience, and we end up hiding from it, or we become shameful, and we have guilt or resentment. These energies, these emotions within these energies are extremely dense, and they begin to disconnect us from our authentic selves because we hide from them, because we're not sure how to process those emotions. And I am so grateful these days that I stepped back into my power of love, and I really understood myself, and I allow myself to make mistakes in this life. But one thing that I never made a mistake on over this last year was breaking this commitment to myself. And yes, extremely proud of myself. And I share that because I'm curious of what other people's commitments are in their life. And when's the last time you achieved a goal, like a milestone? This goal that I set out for myself, I could have broke it at any given time, but I really just wanted to see myself outside of anything that would affect my vibrational frequency. And the vibrational frequency of love is something that I have come to treasure in my being, in this life, and within my brothers and sisters. Even if they don't have that vibrational frequency of love that they're living in the moment when I'm with them, it's my obligation to curate enough love within myself to share that. That's how much I honor that frequency, because I've seen how it can change lives within my own life. and I can see what that power can do within my brothers and sisters. And when we're talking about taking back power, that is the biggest thing that I have done, is taking back the power to think for myself and make choices out of actions that are going to benefit my personal growth. And, if you ask me what my idea of success is, it's to be able to live within that authentic, honest behavior of love. I mean, spirituality is just love in action. That's a big deal right there. Spirituality is love in action. And when we talk about spirituality, it's so far outside of religion, because to me, religion is a lot of words. There's a lot of talking happening within religion. But the actions that are curated out of love have the benefit to change the universe, change this human race that we are all a part of. We are not Muslims and Buddhists and Christians and blacks and whites and Mexicans. These are just labels that society has placed on us so we can identify each other as different. All of us are the light within. We are all living within this container, this avatar. This thing that you're looking at is just my avatar. The vibrational frequencies that you hear curated out of these words are given to you through the light within myself, because I am the spirit within myself. I am not Justin. That was a label given to me by my parents so that people would have a way to address me. But when I speak to you and I speak to people around me, I speak from my heart, from my soul, my soul's essence, and I think that that's such a powerful thing to think about. I'm not my name. I am not my color. I am not my nationality. I am not my language. I am spirit. I am love. I am truth. And I am light. And I tell myself that every day. Even as I say that right here, right now, it feels so organic to talk about things that way. And what a power to take back in your life, to remove the labels that society places on you. And trust me, man, like I lived with labels that society placed on me for over half of my life. We get indoctrinated into this system where we're meant to be labeled so that we can fit inside of boxes. But let's be real, many people are not fitting inside of boxes these days, which is why they're feeling these low vibrational frequencies of disconnection. Because when we become disconnected from ourselves, we end up feeling sad and afraid and lonely. And that's what happens when we're disconnected from each other. I mean, this light that I speak of, this soul, it's just 8 billion pieces of the same thing. It doesn't matter what your container looks like. All the pieces of light are from the same source, the prime creator. And this prime creator is created out of love. We are creations of love. That's what we are. Fear is a learned behavior. So for us to be creating hypotheticals and assumptions out of experiences that haven't happened because of an indoctrinated system that has us believe we need to be afraid of everything and everyone all the time, that system is curated to control us because it puts you in a lower vibrational state. And when I took back my power, I began to see that and witness it for what it was, because I stopped watching television. I no longer watched horror films or anything that was causing me to put myself into a lower vibrational state. That's why I removed alcohol. That's why I removed nicotine. I removed sugar and caffeine from my diet as well, because anything that was obstructing that natural vibrational frequency of love, it had to go. Now, I don't always get it right. I certainly have with not drinking alcohol and smoking cigarettes, but working with caffeine and sugar right now, I'm seeing myself from a whole different light. And I implement these disciplines into my life, and I share this with you because the power that I have taken, and that I've really stepped into, is a connection to something so much more. And this power, once you have this power of love, this ability to believe in yourself and make your own choices out of your own actions, positively impacting your life, you just want to share that with the people around you, because you begin to see the people around you as light vessels as well. Not as Muslims and Buddhists and Indians and Chinese and Japanese, those are just labels. You see beyond that. That's an absolute power to live within that reality. Now, and it takes work. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it takes work to unlearn everything you've been taught. And, that's a power, man. Like, to be able to step up to that challenge in life. I mean, many people spend a lot of time going to school trying to make money. But imagine if you put the same efforts into understanding yourself from the spirit within, the essence, the light. Call it whatever you want. I don't want to give it a label so that people create an ideology surrounding what I'm talking about. I'm talking about love. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you being a light body of love. If you put effort into understanding that that is who you are and what you are, and that we're all a part of the same thing. So we are living as one, just trying to connect back to each other. I am the result of what that work looks like in my own individual experience. I have all these wonderful things today. I do. I have some pretty wonderful things. I can travel the world. I don't think about money. Not that I have tons of it. I just don't think about it. My relationship with money is one that I have become very humble with. I don't have material possessions. They're not attractive to me to have, brand clothing or, need expensive, overpriced brand name things. I see them for what they are. They're just hollow. And most of it's made in third world countries where, the fabric and the quality isn't of what the brand dictates it is. Most of these brands have been taken over by huge companies, and they just, they pump out fast fashion, even in brand names, So I see that for what it is. And I mean, I can appreciate it. I'm not judging it. I mean, these people that own these major corporations, they're here to make money. That's what they're here to do. They're here to manipulate you and try and attract you to spend what little bit of money you have buying brand name items and expensive things so that you'll wear them and use them and believe that this will attract happiness, love, connection through these avenues, when in reality, you have to ask yourself what kind of people you're trying to attract. What is the thing that you're trying to attract when you put these things on? And do you feel comfortable within that? Are you comfortable within yourself? Like, what's your idea of success? What's your idea of wealth? What's your idea of love? These are important questions, when we're being attracted to these materialistic items externally from us. And taking back your power is an ability to see through all that. It's just an illusion. And it's okay, there's no right or wrong. Everything just is, but it's like, who are you? That was a really important question that I asked myself, is who am I? And I had no idea when I asked myself that in that jail cell. I had no clue. But the greatest power I ever possessed was to believe in myself. And when I made that decision to believe in myself, I knew there was nothing that could come between me and the destination that I wanted to achieve. And that destination today is still the same one that it was in jail, and it was becoming a master in this life. I have no idea what that means. I still don't. But as I use love as a tool to navigate the trauma, to navigate the fear, to navigate this life, I'm getting closer to understanding what mastery is. And to me, it's a balance within an emotional understanding of self, not living within a reactive state. It's a power. It's an incredible power to be balanced within your life and use love as a tool to navigate your past. It's amazing to have these conversations, and to really share this perspective. Because I didn't have anyone that was doing this with me, I didn't have anyone that was talking this way. I never even heard people talk like this. Like, self-love and self-care means, not people-pleasing and saying no and removing alcohol and, addictive substances from my life. let's be real. I mean, caffeine and sugar are two of the most addictive substances on the planet, and they do disrupt the vibrational frequency. They're not good for you, especially the way it's, processed and refined within the foods that we're given. But that was self-love and self-care. I mean, I worked with what I had because I didn't have any education and didn't have any tools. So along this 4-year journey, I have just been trying things and making mistakes and allowing myself to really feel and understand myself from my own perspective, not just consume copious amounts of sugar because it's a normal practice of society. I don't really go with what's normal anymore. I mean, if I look at the normalcy of life, of being completely disconnected, going to a job that most people don't enjoy doing, giving so much time to that job, only to have my worth and value be dictated by an entity that doesn't really have any value or worth for me other than to use me for 10 hours a day. And then I can kind of save the little bit of money that I have for retirement if I'm hopeful to get there, or possibly 2 weeks vacation a year. That's not normal to me. That's not normal to me. This is somebody else's idea of what is normal in this life. And it's a belief system that's been curated by individuals who have an immense amount of money and want humans to be consumed from doing things externally from themselves. Because if we spent as much time as we did at our job working on ourselves, can you imagine the world we would be living in? Like right now, we're paying to live on this beautiful blue planet filled with everything we need to survive. We're having to pay for our experience. We're being taxed for our experience by this fictitious thing that doesn't even exist, that's been created by people that have an immense amount, too much, of this measure of wealth. And that to me is a really interesting belief system when we talk about that. That we all are believing that this fictitious measure of wealth exists so that we can exchange things for it and spend most of our lives trying to accumulate it. And a lot of people's worth and value are dictated by this fictitious measure of wealth. Think of how many kids in India or Mexico or all over the world in these impoverished countries that don't have the ability to go to school or to eat. I think that that's just so interesting that we can have belief systems that are created that can affect the entire world. So, I think it's important to talk about that just because it brings an awareness to what our reality is at this time. And yes, I'm living in the same reality as everyone else is at this time, but I'm not at the same time because I really don't hold much value for money, other than it's a tool that I can redistribute and help my brothers and sisters grow in their own way. We give a lot of our money away. We do what we can when we can. I don't just give it away to charities or things like that. I mean, I put it in the hands of people that need it, that I meet along my life, because I'm grateful enough to be aligned with these individuals. And I'm also grateful enough to be able to make enough to share with other people. And I think that when we have that ability to do that, it's our responsibility to redistribute it. But the world that we're living in doesn't see that concept the same way. And that's okay. It's taking a long time to get this system to where it's at. But, when we're talking about taking back our power, I mean, let's have this conversation. The power is in the people's hands. Like, we have the power. We've always had the power. We've just been manipulated by fear to believe we're different from each other. And that if you don't get what you can for yourself, you won't survive. When in reality, if we work together, we can do anything we want in this life. But I believe that action first has to begin within yourself, which is why I talk about taking back your power and really stepping into that power and overcoming fear with love. It's a connection back to self. This is the most magical part of the journey. Once you align this within yourself, that's how you change the world. That's it. It isn't this big global problem. Changing the world happens within you. The whole world lives in here. Once you align this with love, you've done it. You've done it. Then you just take your energy that you've cultivated within you and you share that with your brothers and sisters. And you share your teachings, your energy, and your inspiration and your passion will inspire motivation, within your brothers and sisters, for them to go on their journey within them. That's why I do what I do. That's why I do this. It's the only thing I know what to do. I just keep growing in other areas of my life so I can bring back education and share it with others. That's the thing with me, is everything that I talk about is things that I practice in my life. Like, I am my greatest experiment, and I want you to be your greatest experiment as well. I want to inspire you. I want you to become passionate and motivated to do more, to break free from these ideologies of fear and money, having controlled belief systems over you. They don't have any control over you. They really don't. I get it. We need it to survive. But if we come together, we can end this thing. We can end this way of life. And right now we're in an era where we're witnessing the end of a very long reign of greed, power, and control, and disconnection from each other, and disconnection from spirituality, which is just love. So it's a beautiful time. It really is. But I want to prepare you to be able to step back into your power and to understand yourself. I really want you to understand that that is the greatest gift that you could possess, is just being you within yourself, and bringing all of your experience to your brothers and sisters through the education that you've had to go through and witness and feel and be a part of along this journey. I think that's so important. A lot of us hide from our stories, and we do that. We feel powerless, or we feel like there's no value within it, to have been raised poor, or to have not been seen or not been heard as a child, or to have not been loved, Like, many people feel like they're alone in this life, and that doesn't matter. Let me tell you, there's almost 8 billion people on the planet. There is so many kids that could benefit from the education that you went through your difficult experience, because you lived it, and you learned it, and you breathed it, and you know it, and you have all these wonderful feelings that were very difficult, very uncomfortable, that you try to avoid. But if you go back there and you learn from that education, and you say, hey, like, you talk about these things, you talk about your story with people, just start speaking your truth and sharing it, because that's what you have. You never know where that education is going to land for someone. I mean, that's what I started doing when I started doing all this, and just talking about my addiction and the difficulties, the mental health, the trauma. And I just threw it out in the world and started talking this way with people. And so many people have benefited from this education. So a lot of addicts and a lot of people with mental health are hiding from their stories. When I say, no, that's your power. Everything that we've been through in this life is education. It is the most raw data that you could share with your brothers and sisters around you, so that someone else can grow in their life. And you take a powerless situation and you put power back into it by repurposing it and turning it into purpose. That's beautiful. That's a big deal. And nobody has that power to take that away from you. You have the power to share that. And I think we forget that at times. We get caught up in Netflix, get caught up in social media, man. TikTok, Instagram, people just be scrolling. And I know it isn't the phone. I don't blame the phone. It's what they're looking for inside that phone. Whether they want to be entertained or inspired. I have no idea, but they keep looking. And we have the ability to step out of that and really step within ourselves. Because that external validation that you're trying to get from dopamine hits, from video games, social media, shopping, high sugar, high fat foods, it's temporary. But doing inner work, you integrate with it. Like this stays with you for life. It's an incredible feeling. It's an incredible thing to be a part of when you can step back into that power, because no one can take it away from you. And that's really important. Like I said, you can take away my companies, you can take away my relationship, you can take away my ability to travel the world, but you can never take away my love. And I'm not afraid of anything, because I have love, and I understand higher concepts of life using spiritual laws, which are just laws of love, because I understand a love language. And that love language is universal. The language of fear, hypotheticals, and assumptions created out of events that haven't happened yet, that's foreign. And I know it is. And I know that I'm the creator of my own reality. so I can choose how I want to think for myself. And my actions will create my reality. So I can also choose the people that I want to have within my community, which I'm very selective of. I'm looking for individuals who are willing to grow and step back into their power. And you know what? There's a lot of them out there. I didn't think there was, because I was caught up in the wrong community and I wasn't speaking my truth. But when I started speaking my truth, I started taking back my power, because other people could feel that authenticity. Because when we speak our truth, we're being authentic. And I'll tell you, in the beginning, you're pretty awkward with it. And it's pretty strange to be awkward to speak our truth, but it is. It's very normal within this normal practice of society. We don't speak our truth. We create identities for other people to accept because we've disconnected from our true authentic selves, putting all this energy and time into these masks that we wear so that other people will accept us. Now, talk to me about accountability. We could start right there. I mean, that's what I had to do within my life as well, is be accountable for that. I just got tired of it. And I know a lot of people are tired of that. Creating masks, identities to wear day in and day out, so much so that we begin to think that that's who we are, because we've been so disconnected from our true authentic selves, because we put so much time and energy into this facade that when we do step back into our power or choose to try and be authentic and speak our truth, we're so afraid. And that's okay. It's okay. Just accept where you are at along your journey. But to do something different takes a little bravery, takes a little courage. I'm not going to lie to you. These days, speaking your truth and being authentic requires courage and bravery. And gosh, man, what a power to step back into, to be courageous. You know? It's important to be brave. Every single one of you have the ability to be brave and to be courageous for yourself. Never mind everybody else. Just do this for you. Take back that power in your life and to begin to speak your truth. Do not fear judgment. That's a big one. I get it. You know, a lot of people judge me throughout my journey. A lot of people, you know, even myself, I judge myself probably more than anyone else. But because I judge myself, I fear judgment of others in the past. But when I stepped back into my power, that was one of the first things that came through this belief system of understanding who I am, was that I was not going to judge myself. Because I knew that judging myself had got me nowhere. And once I stopped judging myself, it didn't matter if anyone else judged me. It didn't. You know, it took a little bit to get through. You know, I had a few moments, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you got all these learned behaviors from how long that you think is normal practice of society, because it's pretty normal for people to judge. And it's very normal for people to judge themselves. We're often our worst critics, and we self-sabotage and we self-abuse because of this. So we understand that judging ourselves gets us nowhere. But a belief in oneself and a belief in love can alleviate you of that, because you're going to be honest and authentic. And let me tell you, it's difficult in the beginning, but good Lord, you walk a whole lot lighter because you're not carrying around any fear of what people think of you or how you judge yourself. And you may not know who you are in the beginning because you've practiced not being yourself for so long, but you step back into that power by making mistakes and really allowing yourself to become a child and to become a seed and grow. You know, like you tap back into that inner child because that seed is going to grow again. And it's a beautiful thing. And, you know, over the course of my 4 years here, every 6 months, my life changes incredibly just because of the amount of inner work that I put into myself. That's where I see my changes happening. And mine all started with believing in myself, surrendering my life to love, living an honest, authentic life, and doing things from a place of love, which didn't allow me to judge myself or judge others. But it did allow me to make a lot of mistakes, but to learn from them right away, because I held myself accountable to do that. And I was responsible for my actions and my choices. That's exactly how I've done what I've done over the last 4 years. It's a powerful little piece of information that I just gave you right there. Very powerful. You can do this. I'm not special. I'm not unique. I just discovered my worth, and I discovered my value by making choices that would allow me to honor that. Yeah. Making choices that allow us to honor ourselves. Wake up with that mindset. Start your day like that. I start my day with, I am love, I am truth, I am light, I am spirit. That's what I am. Even when I say it, I smile. It's hard not to, because it's so beautiful. It's just so liberating. It's so liberating to take off all the labels that society places on us. I don't care where you're at right now, whoever is listening to this. It doesn't matter if you're homeless. It doesn't matter if your mental health has got you so broke down that you forget who you are. Try and say those things. Wake up in the morning and say those things. Remind yourself that you are love. I am love. We are all love. We've just been hurt, or we've beat ourselves up along the way to forget that. And we've created a belief system that doesn't allow us to remember who we truly are because of a belief system. But I think that that's really important in itself. These belief systems that we've created over experiences from our past, we're often carrying with us in the present moment, which is why a lot of us are confused about our worth and value, because it was diminished during an experience long ago. And if you follow yourself back, go on a journey and try and remember when worth and value was obstructed for you. Try and see if you can get back to a point in time. You got to use tools like honesty for this. You got to remove yourself from blame and victim mentality when you're going on a journey within. There is no blame and victim mentality, only accountability. And often, some experiences might have been out of our control, but we can still follow ourselves back to find that point in time and remind ourselves that we are not that person today. You are not the person you were from your past. Your past does not define you. It's what makes you stronger in the moment, because you can learn from it. And many of us may go through difficult traumas, but remind yourself that you are spirit, you are love, you are light. Maybe you were the individual that was strong enough to go through that experience, to bring that education out and share it with your brothers and sisters to help them through their journey, because they may not be strong enough. But because you've gone through it, you can turn something very difficult into something so beautiful for so many people. Every single person's story is valid because it has an opportunity to be able to do that if we speak our truth and live in our authenticity. If you're afraid there's no community that's going to accept you or support that, I promise you're wrong. I thought that way for a while as well, but I just kept speaking my truth and being authentic, and the community came because my frequency had changed and I never went backwards. I've never looked back. I've only gone forward. That's all I know. That's all I know how to do, is to move forward. When you step back into this power and you take back this power to be authentic, to live in truth, and to live with love, there's no going back, because the veil gets lifted on the normalcy or what is abnormal in this life. And you see what's real, which is why I called this podcast Real Talk for an Unreal World, because that's what it does. It speaks real. It speaks the truth. And I think that we need that these days, is to have an avenue to truth. And if I can be an avenue to truth, then I'm doing my job here. My job is not in these construction companies. It's not in my public speaking companies. My job is my purpose. And my purpose is to help raise the vibrational frequency of my brothers and sisters around me so that we can evolve consciousness into a higher density. That's what I come here to do. I just had to get through all that difficulty to remember that. And that's why I say, when I look back on that 23 years, I'm like, oh, it wasn't that bad. And it wasn't. It's crazy to say that, because I know when I was in it, God, man. I mean, I stood on a bridge a couple times, thinking it was too much. I've been there, I overdosed 33 times. I just kind of gave up, right? I gave up. I didn't know what to believe in. I certainly didn't believe in myself, and I had no idea what love is. But these were the two greatest tools and gifts that I've been given along this life. And I think about that. If I would have walked off that bridge, or I wouldn't have had somebody that brought me out of those overdoses, man, like, I would have ended up believing that hell was real. And it wasn't. It was just the catalyst to push me forward to understand love. Alchemizing those difficult experiences using tools of love. That's what this is. It just looks and feels so difficult because we're living in our own individual experiences without communicating about how we feel. We're fearing judgment. We're disconnected and divided from each other. I mean, of course we feel alone and separated and not worthy and of no value. We're not talking about anything. And we're certainly not taught how to talk about our emotions. And that's something that I do very easily today. I process in the moment. And my wife and I, we don't always agree on everything. I don't think we're meant to. We've, both had our own individual experiences, but we can definitely be patient enough to understand each other's place and time and respect each other's journey to listen to each other's feelings surrounding different topics. And I think that when we do that, we learn from each other. Her experience is different than mine. She understands patience and, trust and respect and loyalty and processing emotions from a different perspective than myself. So if I listen to my wife where, I'm not so quick to force her into my belief system, I can learn from her. And that's just been such a magical tool because I don't just do that with her, I do that with everyone. That's a practice. We're quick to be judgmental and, be opinionated. So it's a practice to be patient in this life. And I'm grateful for that today. I'm grateful for life. I have so much gratitude to still be here and to still be a student of love and to learn every day about myself and to cultivate more love so that I'm able to share that love so freely and talk about these experiences, Like, I don't know who listens to these podcasts. I'm grateful that people are listening to it, but I don't know who needs to hear this. I mean, I don't know who doesn't need to hear this. Why weren't they telling us this when we were in kindergarten? Talk to me about an education system that makes employees, man. And not very good ones. I mean, we're choosing what we want to do before we know who we are. How ridiculous is that? If you want to break society, just scare them and confuse them and have them unable to talk about how they feel and hold measures of worth and value through avenues of fictitious measurements of wealth, and then control the basic needs and the cost of living. And you can really put a lot of pressure and stresses on people when they're living their own individual life. So I want you to know that we can end this. We can really do more if we begin to go on the journey within. Because once you go on the journey within, you're not going to see your brothers and sisters as blacks, Chinese, the Indians, Buddhists, Muslims. You're not going to see them that way. You're going to see them for the light they are within. And you're going to understand that they've been taught things along their life that may not have been of their own thinking. So we share our perspectives and we listen to each other to learn from each other and grow into this understanding of love, because that's what everything is about. That is the greatest power, is a belief system in love, a belief system in ourselves, and a belief system within our brothers and sisters evolving from this time. So I just want to remind people of that and remember that no matter how difficult you think life is at this time, it can change. It can change if you choose to have it change. And for me, I surrendered my life to love. I've got to say that. I had a moment where I spoke to the universe. Those words came out of my mouth with such intention that I aligned with the vibrational frequency of love. It showed itself to me. It integrated into my body. It opened up within my heart. That's what happened. I'm not special. I'm not unique. Anyone can have this. Anyone can have this. You just have to be willing to accept it because it's looking for you. You're not alone in this life. None of us are. And once you connect to this frequency of love, you're connecting to the source, to the prime creator. It's like a mainframe where we're all connected. So you go into this frequency, this vibrational frequency, or it comes into you because it never really leaves you, and you're connected to everyone and everything. It's beautiful. It's freaking magical. And all of the things that you've been taught along your life that would divide you and disconnect you and cause you fear and sadness and shame and guilt, you see it for what it is, and you're like, wow, like, you mean I have the ability to step away from all that? Using this tool of love? It's power, man. It's an absolute power. So I'm going to leave it there. And I just appreciate you so much. I mean, if you're for real and you're listening to this, like, you know, and you're really listening to these concepts and these perspectives, like, it's happening. Like, the evolution of consciousness is happening. The awakening is happening. The end of an era is happening. You know, retirement, GICs and money, and these things are going away. Like, they will leave our lifetime. We will see it within our lifetime. The evolution of what is happening in peace and love and knowledge being shared and distributed through mankind is happening. And it's happening whether we like it or not, because the light that is penetrating right now through the universe into our third eye, into our DNA strands, is activating knowledge. It's recreating who we are, you know, on a molecular level, which is integrating within this spiritual frequency of love. So it's not a choice. It's happening. I'm just really trying to help you move through it quicker. I'm so grateful that this happened to me in my life. I mean, I look where I was 4 years ago, and it's like, wow, like, what a difficult journey, you know? And I think a lot of us are facing difficult journeys at this time, but we've just not been able to see another way out. Let me tell you, it's real. Like, it's so real, and it's so beautiful. And you connect with nature like you've never connected with anything before. It's just a natural frequency. Like Mother Earth, or the earth, has a natural frequency that is just looking to connect with us. So we feel so disconnected from all of these things, and it's such a natural, organic thing to connect back to what is so natural to us. You know, we're just living in this simulation of just abnormal behaviors that are really there to manipulate our vibrational frequency and control us. And that's a reality. I mean, we've got some individuals on this planet that feel that that's the thing that they'd like to live for, is greed, power, and control. And who am I to judge? You know, I don't know what they've been taught to find that acceptable. I just know another way. And I know I don't have to give too much time, attention, and energy to those entities. It's because you don't really get anywhere. I'll just put my time, attention, and energy into my brothers and sisters, into the human race, because we've always had the power. I just need to remind you of that, and then we can change this thing. So remember, you're a big part of the big picture. You're a big part of the big picture, for sure. So your individual experience is a big part of the big picture, because it's a piece of the whole, you know? We're all pieces of one whole. That's kind of cool when you think about it. It's like your experience is a big part of the big picture. Even if you think that you don't have money, or you're poor, or you're brought up in extreme trauma, whatever it may be, remember, your life is filled with education, and you can take back the power within that education and repurpose it to give another life purpose, you know, by sharing that, which gives that experience purpose within itself, no matter the level of difficulty. So that's a wonderful thing to be a part of. I'm going to throw it out here if you're listening to this. If you could rate my Spotify podcast, that would be cool. I appreciate that. It helps with the algorithms. I hate these things. I just do this. I just put content up, and I love that. But, you know, a lot of people are telling me, like, you got to get your stuff out to more people, and they're not wrong, you know, and I'm not good at that. I'm not. I can admit that. I'm getting better at it, and I'm bringing people in that are going to help me be better at that by teaching me, because I just got so many things going on in so many different places. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with where I'm at in my life. I'm right where I'm meant to be. That's cool. But I'm always open to education. So, and I'm okay to ask for help these days. So, yeah, if you can rate the Spotify, if you're watching on the YouTube, like it. I don't know, subscribe. Do whatever you feel is right. I'm cool with that. I got an Instagram, a TikTok. I cut up the podcast into shorts and reels, and I throw that up there, and something to think about throughout the week. I grab some nice clips, and I do other just in the moment videos and clips talking about all kinds of different things and something I feel in the day, and I just throw it out there, and that's cool too. I love that I've started doing that again. So I am growing my social medias to new places, which I'm happy about. I like it. I've found a new passion for that. All Real Talk for an Unreal World, they're all under that label. My email is realtalkforanunrealworld@gmail.com. So if you have anything going on in your life, or something you want to work out, anything, just hit me up. Right now, my company Affliction by Addiction is creating a 6-week course, and it's an evolutionary course of consciousness. So basically what we're doing is we're creating a connection back to self, and we're overcoming fear using love. So I'm going to talk about tools, education. I'm going to talk about examples. We're going to have modulars and exercises with breathworks and meditations, but simple stuff. Not going to be complicated. It's a lot of it's video based. So I'll be doing, clips throughout the day, because a lot of people are watching videos these days. So I'm going to be doing clips that give you a psychological perspective or a thought process. So almost like CBT training, cognitive behavior therapy, which just allows you to become cognitive of your thoughts and your behaviors. But I had to do all that on my own. I didn't have anybody to teach me that, and they worked. They worked for me. So I'm going to share those, and we're going to kind of create this course and allow people to give a lot of feedback so that we can really create a course that is going to offer the fastest results to an evolutionary process of self. Like, what we want to do is we want to connect you back to yourself and overcome fear using love. So we want people to live in this state. That's what's important to me. So that I'm holding myself accountable to have finished by the 1st of February. So I have a couple months to execute this, and I've got wonderful people helping me out with this that are also lived experience. Everyone that's involved with doing what I'm doing is they know because they lived it. So that's the most important thing to me. So we got that coming out, and just love, man. Just lots of love. I'm really grateful to be where I am today, and I'm so happy I stepped off that bridge and I allowed myself a chance to believe in myself and to take back my power and understand love. And I never want anyone to underestimate love. I know it's confusing, and we think that it comes from other people, but it's so much more. It's so much more. And I want you to listen to this episode. There was a lot of important things that we talked about in here that can help guide you back to an understanding of love. And I know with a 45-minute podcast, sometimes we can take in a whole lot of information. Re-listen to things, or check out the shorts and the reels. I mean, there's lots of other stuff in the previous podcasts as well, where I offer tools and education that help. So that's all I care about is for people to connect. Popularity isn't a thing for me. If you like my stuff and you like the message that I take, please share my stuff. Share it however you want. Talk about it, post it, doesn't matter to me. All I care about is the message, and it isn't about me. It's only about the message. I don't even care if you just grab my audio and you just put the audio. It doesn't matter to me. All I care about is the message, is to inspire other people to overcome what holds them back. So I appreciate you for your time listening to this podcast, and I appreciate you so much for your practice. That's everything in this life. I think about where I was a year ago, and man, I'm like 9 days away from achieving a goal that I've been trying to achieve for 41 years. Today, they say I'm 41. Today, I am aware of my experience and my journey, and I don't really know what age is. I just know that I'm in a wonderful place in time, and I am choosing to create the next bit of time in a wonderful way, to allow me more time on this planet because I care for my mind, I care for my body, and I care for my soul, and I'm okay with discipline. So much love. We're going to talk a lot more about that in the upcoming episodes. I got some great guests coming up as well. We're going to step that up and do some cool things. So appreciate you. Enjoy your night.